Hi everyone, welcome to day two of my opening training. This is going to be a great day today. We're going to learn a lot of different things, and I'm very thankful to all of you who are already here and waiting for the show. Yesterday, we had a wonderful stream. We had the highest viewing of nearly 800 plus people. I feel that we may not be able to reach that number because there were a lot of players who came just to see what was going on, and they realized it was quite tough for them. But that's the plan with this opening training. I do not want to keep it exceedingly simple or simplistic, because simple lectures or this will be done separately. And also I have a show every morning where I analyze with Samay Raina, who's a well-known comedian, and over there we discuss some of the themes which are much suited to people who are just starting off. Here it's more about learning openings, and I want to teach you something which will be useful for you, not just against let's say 1200, 1400 or this level, but goes right up to maybe even IM or even GM level. You get certain ideas. It's like I want to impart these little things through these sessions. So a big shout out to all of you who are there. Utkrish Singh, Sahil Bhatt, Nidish Govekar, Jayant Rao, Vivek Mahale, SVCP, Different Task, Jan Murdoch, Shrikant Gadge, Sumed Ramteke. Very nice to see all of you here. Prathamesh Divekar. Great. So let's begin with today's session. You can see me right now. I'm kind of looking like a ghost. Yes, it's like there is this nice chessboard. That's a picture taken by Amruta, by the way. Very nice chess pieces, and I'm in front of it, slightly transparent. But okay, so let's begin. First of all, before starting, I would like to just show you what we learned yesterday. This was actually not today but yesterday, and we learned the Leningrad system in the Nimzo Indian, which is with bishop g5. You give up your bishop on c3 and then close your structure with c5, d6, e5. You remember this king d8, king c7 idea, which is worth remembering. You don't need to castle always. And we saw a few games: Gokhale versus Sagar, Yusupov short, and Spassky Kolmov. These were the these were the things we learned yesterday, and now it's time to learn something different today. It is the Nimzo Indian, but this time we are going for the move a3. Okay, and a3 move is kind of a rude move. Yeah, like white says to black that yes, you're playing the Nimzo Indian, but I don't like what you're doing. It seems like a foolish move to bring your bishop to b4. You're trying to pin my knight, but actually the bishop is just in the way, and I can just attack it, and you have to give it for the knight. And I'm very happy with this. I have the bishop pair, and I also have the strong center. So what's the point of bishop b4? That's what he asked. Well, the thing is that it's not so simple. And to begin with this lecture, I would like you to go back one sorry, not 100, 91 years. Okay, this is what I would like you to go back in time. That is 1929. This was a game that was played between Joner, who's white, Johner, and black is Capablanca. Okay, by the way, a big shout out to Satish Gopal, who's contributed 60 rupees through super chat. Thank you so much, Satish. By the way, if anyone would like to contribute, can do so via super chat. And yesterday everyone was asking for Google Pay ID, so I have also added that in the description in case anyone would like to contribute. uh, okay, Nandan says I play a3 a lot. Very nice. Okay, so a3, we'll try to see what to do to it. But so you're back 91 years in time, and then Capablanca took, because of course you can't go back. If you go back, it simply defeats the purpose of the opening, because after e4, white has this strong center. So take on c3, bc3, and now the move which I recommend, and I like to play this. In fact, there are several moves here: d6, d5, knight c6, castles. All of this look fine, but the move that I like the most is the move c5. And this is actually in the spirit of Nimzo Indian, I feel, because you kind of give your opponent doubled pawns, and then you restrain it. You restrain these double pawns by putting your pawn on c5. So that's one of the basic ideas in the Nimzo Indian, and I actually like to play it that way. There are other ways to play as well, which we can look at subsequently. Um, White will often go for the move e3. That is the main move here. The reason why bishop g5 makes little sense is because of queen a5, and now suddenly there is this pin, and this bishop cannot take on f6 because of queen c3, and then if you try to defend this pawn, then knight e4 threats start coming in. So therefore this bishop, although it's open now, has to be closed in with e3. And then black plays the move knight to c6. uh, Sorry, knight to c6. White goes bishop d3, b6, and ng2. So this is the basic idea of white. You know what white is trying to do, what Joner is trying to do, is he wants to put his pieces in a way where he can start pushing his pawns with e4, f4, and so sort of the pawns are behind the pawn chain. Uh, Not a great move would be to play knight to f3, because it blocks your f2 pawn. That's the main problem. If you put your knight, if you are taking up this structure, it makes sense to put your knight on e2. I think this is very important to understand from white's perspective, because it gives white good expansion possibilities. Okay. Here, the move that I recommend is castles. White also castled. Black went bishop a6. This is the theory. And now came e4. So put yourself in Capablanca's shoes here after e4 and try to think, what would you play here as black? A big shout out to Ankit Rawat, who's contributed 200 rupees and says, Sagar would love to see you and Amruta ma'am do analysis together. Yes, I think this is going to happen one of these days, because a few days ago, when we were doing the opening series and also the endgame series, it was quite early, and Amruta, as you know, is a person who wakes up quite late. But for these sessions, I think she should be possible. I mean, to wake up. So thanks a lot for that super chat, and I'll make her read it. Okay, so what do you play here? Yes, very good. There are a lot of people who've given the right answer. Neev Patel, you're right. Suryan Shwarma, Mitesh, Shivam Chaudhary, excellent. The right answer here is actually quite the surprising move, which is knight to e8. And the point is that you want to take your knight out, and if white goes f4, you want to meet it with f5. This is the main plan, and you really want to take your knight away from the f pawn. Also, if white was given a chance, like you played say knight a5, then f4 is definitely a possibility, but also bishop g5 has to be considered, where this pin could become quite a nuisance. Tejas Pai, thank you so much for contributing, and he says thank you Sagar for these sessions. You are doing a great job. Thank you so much, Tejas. Okay, so e4, you go knight to e8, and remember this is actually the first time that this idea was played, and everyone took note of it, took the note of Capablanca's brilliance, that he is ready to meet f4 with f5 and also put his knight on a5, then this knight could come on d6 and start attacking this c4 pawn. So bishop e3 was played, and then d6 bolstering this structure, queen a4, and now knight to a5. Good move. Rook f d1, queen c7, rook c1, queen c6. Nice move by Kappa. Now if you go back, c4 is hanging, so he had to take, knight takes. And actually the queen exchange here favors black a lot, because this pawn is still a weakness, and the knight is jumping back here to a5 to attack it, and actually white has no real good way to defend it, so he went for some kind of a rash move. His idea was, if you play DE, then I can take DC5 and win this pawn. But first Capablanca took on D4, CD, DE, and here he's just a pawn up. He went on to win this game after D5, ED, CD, Bishop D3, Rook D3, and E4, attacking the rook, rook d1 and knight e5, and black is just better here. Next move came f5 with powerful pieces, extra pawn, and game over. Yeah, this Capablanca doesn't need too many advantages to convert it into a win. So this was a very nice game played 91 years ago. So you can see how great a player Capablanca was. And then after 20 years after Capablanca played it, so 72 years ago, now that this is in 1948, came another two great players. White was Mikhail Botvinnik, and black was Samuel Reshevsky. I hope you know these names. Botvinnik was the former world champion, and Reshevsky was one of the best players from US before Bobby Fischer came in. So before that, everyone knew Reshevsky was a genius. If you Google him, you will see that I think at the age of 6 or 7, he gave a simul to like 100 people or something. He was so talented, so talented. Yeah, Shanks, bishop f4 or bg5 is not uh, an option because of queen a5. Yeah, queen a5 and knight e4, and you create a lot of problems. That's why they play e3. So let's go to the opening. Knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. By the way, the move orders can change. Like if you play e3, c5, a3, it will also transpose into the same position. If you go, say, begin with a3, bishop c3, bc3, c5, same position. By the way, a big thanks to Chandrasekhar Kuar, who says, Hi Sagar, first time on your live stream, watched all 22 plus 15 plus 1 video lessons. Just wanted to thank you. I'm 40 and play chess online for fun. Wow. You play chess online for fun, but you looked at all the videos. That's wonderful. And today's your first live stream. So welcome to the show. And I hope you enjoy it. So, okay, e3 was played, c5, a3, and we reached the position that we are discussing. Knight c6, bishop d3. Okay, castles, this is what we have seen, knight e2, and now b6. So Botvinnik here said, I'm going to play e4. What do you think did Reshevsky play? I'm kind of asking you this to make this point go in your mind. So what did black play? Okay, Ushashi Bandopadhyay also watching for the first time. Wonderful. Um, yes, Sumit, you are right. You are right. That's the right move. Anish Adiga, you are right. Mayur Gondalekar, you are right. Neev Patel, Shivam Chaudhary, Karthik Krishnan, Pradeep Kanetkar, Omkar Brahmabhat, Anudeep Anup, Sujata Shastri. Very good. The right move is knight to e8, and this is what we have already seen. And actually, Reshevsky learnt it from Capablanca back then, 20 years ago in 1929, and then he applied it in 1948 against Botvinnik. Now, Botvinnik is of course a better player than his genre. So he went bishop e3, and now you need to defend against the c5 pawn. So he played d6, castles. You go after the c4 pawn now with knight to a5, or you could have also started with bishop a6. Both look pretty okay. Knight g3, bishop a6. Now c4 is hanging, so queen e2, and black went queen to d7. After queen d7 came the move f4. And here's your next question in this position. What should black play here? What is black's best move? I want you to think. What should black play? You see, black has created quite a bit of pressure on c4 pawn, but white's plan is simple. He wants to start pushing his pawn and create an attack. Very good, Sumedh. You are absolutely right. Bhaku Choku, you are also right. Amey Kanetkar, you are right. Shivam Chaudhary, you are right. Saujo, absolutely. Atul Tripathi, Anudeep Anup, Navirath Nagesh, very well done. Mitesh Borkhetaria, Haider Yasmin, Martin Helseth Oskendel, you are absolutely right. Also Neha Parekh, good job. Good job, guys. You all have got it right. Many people in the chat have got the right answer. Uh, The right move is f5. Excellent. The point is to prevent this pawn from advancing, fixing it on f4, and also so that the bishop on e3 becomes slightly passive, and you have this nice structure here. Actually, black's main idea also is in such positions to go queen a4, but then f5 becomes a deadly move. You know, you are giving up a pawn, but at the same time, here after fe6, white gets a lot of play. So this was avoided with the move f5, and then rook ae1. Now black strengthened his structure with g6, again a nice move. Rook d1, queen to f7, e5, rook c8, rook fe1, and after de, he took back de, because if you take fe, then after cd, the c4 pawn is hanging, because there are three attacks here. So he had to play de, which is not a very happy move to make. Knight g7, knight f1, rook f d8, and you can already see that black is doing really well. These pawns actually, which are fixing the pawns here, are limiting both the bishops, and your pieces are extremely active, attacking the c4 pawn. And you can see that actually even a strong player like Botvinnik simply collapsed in this position. He just couldn't fight here. You will see that queen went to e4, a4, which is a great square for the queen, and then takes, and h5 was played, which is again stopping any ideas with g4. Very nice play. Bishop e2, king f7, queen b3, exchanging the queens, and then doubling the rooks on the d file. And at the end, um, he had to something had to give way here, and after knight b3, he lost the position, because you will see that here it's kind of a zugzwang like position after king e2. Like, yes, there are two defenses. These pieces are defending this bishop, but apart from that, something must move right in the position, and whatever he moves, he is in trouble. Like king e1 he played, but there came knight b3, and now the rook cannot move because bishop is hanging. So he gave a check, takes, bishop f5, knight d2 takes, and in the end, black was a piece up and went on to win. So I hope that you are able to get the sense of this system. What we are doing is we are kind of restraining black's pawns, with the move. First of all, c5 here, you are restraining these double pawns, and then later on, with this very nice maneuver with knight e8, which I like very much, you are once again going to restrain the pawns, this time with the move f5, so that this pawn is restrained and you have this nice structure. Okay, so I'm going to show you another game. Let's have a look at this one, because all is not rosy for black. This happened just 2 years after the game that was played. This happened in the candidates tournament in 1950, and white player is David Bronstein. Bronstein is a very famous grandmaster who almost became a world champion. He played the world championship against Botvinnik, drew 12-12, but in the end the world champion keeps the title, so he couldn't win it. But they used to call him the sorcerer. Yeah, that's what Bronstein was known as, and his opponent is none other than Miguel Najdorf. I don't need to tell you which opening is named after him. Sicilian Najdorf, the guy who created Sicilian Najdorf opening. So let's have a look at this game. Bronstein is white, and he's known for playing aggressive systems, and bishop b4 a3 is very aggressive. So take c5, as we already know, e3. Let's try to see if you can remember the system with me. What should black play now? Jan Murdoch says how to exploit if white takes on c5, tripling their pawns. Well, in general, if let's say white were to take here with dc5, then one move is queen a5 that you can try. The other one I like is knight a6 with maybe queen c7 next and taking on c5. I think overall, even if you don't win this pawn, this is like horrible. I mean, it's just not great. We will actually look at the Zamish system where this happens, and we'll see. But here is just not great. Yes, knight c6, very good. Absolutely, everyone is correct. Knight c6. By the way, I would ask everyone who's just giving the answers, please do that. Don't try to spam the chat. That doesn't help, because if you are spamming it, it is just nothing is going to be, you won't get anything out of it, and I would miss out on the important chats. If you would like to contribute, then you can contribute via super chat or via some other means, but Don't write, keep writing unnecessary stuff. Yes, knight c6 is absolutely right. By the way, if anyone has a question as to what happens if white plays d5 here, it's a possible move, but once again, I think the main problem here would be queen to a5, in my opinion, because what's happening is that this pawn is hanging and this pawn, like there's an attack here and you just can't defend it easily. If you play bd2, the pawn on d5 starts to hang, and if you play queen d2, then I can play ed cd or just knight e4. There are so many different possibilities. So d5 is a bad move. e3, and as all of you rightly said, knight c6. Now bishop d3. What do you play now? Black to move. Just kind of doing, we are going step by step. Black to move. I think Jan Murdoch, we already discussed your question, so avoid. I think we already saw how to exploit the triple pawns. What do you do now? Yes, castles is the correct move. All those who mentioned castles, very good. You are alert. Now knight to e2. What do you do? You see, knight e2 has to be played. You can't go e4 because c pawn here, this is hanging on d4. I remember there was a system which went cd, cd, knight d4. Now e5 is impossible because of queen a5 check and take here. So that doesn't work, but or maybe it does. cd, cd, knight d4, e5. Yeah, and queen a5. You must play king f1, and now, yeah, this is a bad move because of bishop b2, I think. And then the threat is to take and take on h7, and there is no way to defend this queen here. So I think a better choice here is d5, if I'm not mistaken. I need to check my notes at some point, but d5 is a good move. There is a game, Crush versus Smith, and after e5 knight e4, black is doing fine. So don't be too greedy to take this pawn because it's not actually a free pawn, but you can just play d5. I like this. Anyway, so knight e2 is played, and now you have to tell me what does black play. Let me see if you have been able to get the right answer. Yes, king b1. That is correct. King b1. Sorry, b6. That's absolutely right over here. And this is what we want to play. Put the bishop here, knight here. If he castles and plays e4, we go back to e8, and then f4 can be met with f5. Okay, b6 was a good move, but Najdorf played d6, which is okay, not so great. e4 was played, and Najdorf continued with knight e8. Bronstein castled. So even Najdorf knew this idea, but f4, he was now slightly confused here, and instead of playing f5 in this position, he went bishop a6. He said, I'll play f5 on the next move. So what did Bronstein do here? It's white to move. Yeah, Shashank, I think it doesn't matter so much. You can also go b6 first, but then if he gets to play e4, then if your king is on e8, you can't play knight e8. So you have to be careful. Vihit Mishal says, isn't this passive? Yes, this is slightly passive, but you are also making white's pieces passive by putting the pawn on f5. Like this bishop would really love to move out, but when the pawn goes to f5, it blocks this pawn, and so that doesn't happen. Yes, very good. All of you are extremely strong here. I'm very happy with everyone who's here. You are able to guess most of the right moves, which is really fantastic. The right move here is f5 for white. White plays f5, and you will see that black not playing f5 is actually a big problem. e5, and what did Najdorf play? Sorry, what did Bronstein play here? White to move. What did Bronstein play in this position? d5, yes, possible. Geeta, Ritesh, you're absolutely right. Dipankar Kamble, you're right. Amay Nirgudkar, you're right. Anish Adiga, absolutely right. Who else has got the right answer? Sumed Ramteke, yes. Chess Express Tamil, yes. Omkar says, can we save a tempo by not playing first move knight f6? Anyway, if we have to move. Who else? Yeah, f6 is absolutely right in this position, which creates a kind of attacks black's position. If you have to play a move like g6, this will be a big thorn in the neck, and also bishop h6, the dark squares start to become very weak. So black realized that if he takes here, then after bishop g5, he will be in trouble, with knight also jumping in like this and this way. So he went king h8, but then after d5, knight a5, knight g3 takes knight f5. You can see how white's attack is deadly. This is dream scenario for any white player playing this opening. ef, rook g8, rook to f3, rook g7, bishop h6, rook g8, and rook h3. And the plan is now to play just bishop f8 and checkmate black here. Maybe there are some other ways. f7 is also hanging. White has several ways to win this position, so Najdorf actually resigned this game, and this should serve as a very good reminder to you that when white's pawn is on f4, please don't take it lightly and block it with the move f5. You know what is this move bishop a6? I don't understand. He should have played f5, and then he has a decent position. Okay, so before we move on, and now I would like to show you a couple of games of good players, and then we'll come to my games. I would just like to remind all of you to a few things that you can do. First of all, if you go to chessbase.in, that is our website that you can see on the screen. The first article is about a Fisher random tournament that is taking place day after tomorrow. It is organized by Buddhibal Krida Trust, and it happens tomorrow, day after tomorrow on Saturday at 8 p.m. And Fisher random basically means that all the pieces can be on any squares at the bottom. So in that way, it will be no theory, no chess openings over there, and you can enjoy it. It'll be great fun. The rules of castling are also explained here, and I think a lot of strong players have already enrolled. Gukesh, Ronak, Shardul, Venkatesh, Andre Devyatkin, Himanshu Sharma, and several other top players are playing this. So it would be very nice if you can join in. There is an button to pay the entry fee here at the start of the article. It's only 300 rupees, and there are a lot of different prizes as well. So try to see if you can participate in this. Maybe I can add the link in the description. Secondly, I think in the description you will find other links over there. There is a Google Pay link if you want to contribute. There's also a link to get chessbase 15 and mega database, which we are right now, the thing which we are discussing on all these openings on this board, and all the preparation I do is through chessbase and mega database, so you can get that. And lastly, if you want to subscribe to our newsletters, then also there's a link, so you will be updated with everything that chessbase India does, and so you can click there and join in. Okay, so getting back now to the game of another great chess player. This time it's going to be Anatoly Karpov, whom we are going to look at. And this was played in 1989. And Karpov is a big exponent of the Nimzo Indian. In fact, he plays it very often. So it would be nice to follow him here. Okay. Ajit Gole says, how to get FIDE rating. Thank you so much, Ajit, for your for contributing. You can go to YouTube and just search how to get FIDE rating, and there is a video by Gopakumar, an arbiter, who explains this really well. Okay, so d4, knight f6, c4, e6. White is Yusupov, black is Anatoly Karpov. I think we also looked at Yusupov's game yesterday, today as well. Unfortunately, we are looking at games he has lost, but he's a legend. You know, at one point he was world number 3 and an amazing player. It's actually a big fortune that he's going to be teaching at FIDE seminar on 29th to 31st, and you can actually check that out as well. So knight c3, bishop b4, e3, castles, bd3. The move order is slightly different, but we soon come to the same position now. This is the one. Knight e2, b6, as you already know. E4, I'm not going to ask you now, but please say it in your head whenever you see this position. What should black do here? Yes, knight to e8, very good. Castles, and now bishop a6, putting pressure on c4, f4, and now you can see this as a model game, f5, very powerful move, blocking the f4 pawn. Knight goes to g3, and here I would like you to think for a bit, what should black play? What should black play in this position after knight to g3 is the question. Yes, Omkar Brahmabat, you are right. Also, Ajole is right. Bakuchoku, if you play knight a5, then this pawn is actually hanging here. So you need to fortify it. The first task that black has to do is solidify his structure, and then he should go on to attack this weakness. So he went g6, bishop e3. Now this pawn is hanging. So actually speaking here, d6 could be a possible move, trying to put this position, but the problem is d5, knight to a5, and then d into e6, and somehow this position starts to become a little bit weakened. So that's the reason why here First time Karpov went for the move knight to d6, but I think his choice against Yusupov 4 years later was much better, which we will just see after this game. Knight d6, e into f5, knight takes c4, bishop c4 because e3 was hanging. So bishop c4, bishop c4, fg6, bishop f1, and now queen h5, threatening a mate here. So queen e7, rook takes f1, hg6, queen g6, queen g7. And if you check the material here, it is like black has one pawn for an exchange and he's ready to give up another pawn. Take, take, bishop takes, and rook f7. And this is kind of equal position. White has a bishop and two pawns for black's rook, sort of equal. But white went queen d3, and then after cd, queen h7. Actually, Karpov started to get a small edge here, and later on he also improved his position of the knight with knight e7, knight d5, and went on to win. Uh, so the game that I was actually saying that happened 4 years later, Karpov came up with a new idea in the position, which was after, let's go from the opening so that you are aware of the move orders. Knight e2, b6, e4, knight e8, castles, bishop a6, f4, f5. Don't forget playing f5, uh, g g6, bishop e3. And now here I want you to think for a bit and tell me what is it that black should play here. We looked at knight d6, but it was not the best choice. What should black play here? Pradyumna says, how would we know when to play kingside pawn? What sort of analysis is needed when the move is made? Depends. It's very concrete. If you move a kingside pawn like g6 here, you have to see whether these squares are getting weak or not. The fact that actually this move helps in strengthening this pawn, which blocks this pawn and the bishop on e3, makes this move quite good. You know, if the bishop was somewhere here, then I would already be afraid of pushing my pawn. Himanshu says, don't you think white is better controlling the center in the specific opening? Yes, he is. But there's also weaknesses here. He's not better, but he has more space. And we know that from our sessions on imbalances, space always comes with the disadvantage of creating weaknesses. So here, c4 is weak. Knight can jump here. If black can control the position, he would be much better. So actually, this is not easy to play as black because it requires a lot of careful handling. Yeah, everyone who said d6, knight a5, and all of these moves, you are not wrong. This is a pretty okay move, okay way to play. But actually, what Karpov did was he took on d4. This was a nice move, cd, and now played the move d5. And that was the point. He says to white that actually I'm attacking your pawn. So white says, I don't understand. If I take here, you take here, queen takes, ed, and I play e5, wouldn't it be pretty okay for me? This position, I have a protected passed pawn. Also, I could just take on f5, which is the better move, I mean, instead of e5, and you lose a pawn. But Karpov is very smart. Yeah, what he did is he took, and now first took on e4, attacking the queen. So queen takes, and now came queen into d5, takes, and ed5 with a completely equal or even very slightly better for black. I like this position because mainly this bishop on e3 is not so well placed. I think black is having a great position. Okay, So I think that makes it clear as to what black. Yeah, exactly. Say to, you are right. F into e4. This is the best move. So Karpov's handling was to take on d4 and then play d5, cd to take on d3 and then take on e4, queen d5, takes. And actually the game, it was around equal, but Karpov is actually a great endgame player, and so he managed to win this one with some very nice play. Okay, so now moving on to my experience with this opening, I'll take you to 2009 now, very recent, 10, 11 years ago. And I was playing a state open, and I was against a player named Milland, who is black. I was white. I opened with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, and I played a3. And I told my opponent, I'm going to play the a3 system in the Nimzo. Let's see what you do. So he took, I took back, and he played c5. I played e3, and he actually played the move queen to a5. Now, if you think about it, when we play as black, we are always playing knight c6, castles, b6, knight e8, bishop a6, knight a5. We are playing all logical developing moves. While queen a5 is a logical move, it doesn't develop a minor piece. At the same time, the queen could get misplaced here. So I went bishop d2, protecting my pawn. It's also one of the reasons why you need the bishop here. b6, bd3, bishop b7, and now I want you to tell me what would you play here as white? White to move. Dave Marcia in the second game, I think Karpov equalized with much ease, and it resulted in maybe even more slightly more comfortable position. While in the first game, he had to be very accurate, and also his king was under attack. So I like the second option. Shashank says, if I remember right, this was the first Nimzo game you showed in your Improve Your Chess series. Not exactly this, but yes, we actually discussed this kind of structures. But the games which I'm showing you are pretty new ones. Okay, I'm very happy. All those who write the move here, knight e2 and knight and pawn f3. All those who say knight f3, I'm not very happy because, as discussed before, when the opponent plays the a3 system, you must keep these pawns free to move ahead. They should be able to move ahead, and this is what you want. Not that here you play the move knight f3 and then block your f2 pawn, which cannot move forward. So therefore, even knight e2 sacrificing this pawn and creating play here seems like a better idea than actually playing knight to f3. In the game, I played f3, which I think is good, d6, and I put my knight to e2, knight d7, castles, and he played f4. By the way, a big thanks to Karthik Krishnan, who's contributed 500 rupees through Google Pay. Thank you so much, Karthik, for your contribution. Greatly appreciated. e5 was played, and now how many people here think that I should be making the move d5 in this position? Would you play d5? If not, what would you play? Arvind Atuli Kumar says, how to share money to you? Well, there's a dollar sign below in your chat, which is known as super chat. You can do through that, or you can do it through Google Pay, which is in the description. Do you think d5 is a good move? Yeah, it's actually a touch and go decision. D5 seems good because it cramps the bishop here on b7, but at the same time it also closes your bishops here, which you don't want, especially the one on d3. It becomes very passive. So as long as I can keep that option open, I would like to do that. So I went knight g3, and also seeing that ed could be met with cd and attack on the queen. So I was not in a hurry to determine the central position. Knight g3 is absolutely right, what every one of you have mentioned. So g6 was played, and now f4. This is the way I want to play. I want to open up the position. Rook e8, fe, de, and d5. Now it's completely different story. F file is opened up, bishop can go to g5, and this was just winning position. I actually managed to win in a few more moves after this, but you can see the basic idea that this queen is horribly placed here on a5, completely misplaced. I have a strong center, and it's actually the victory of this entire system that we are discussing. We come to the last game that I want to show you today, and maybe the most complex game, because I think we've learned a lot from all the games that we have seen, but I would like you to show me your capability now in this one. Okay, so this is my game against Vaibhav Suri. He is a grandmaster, but actually, when the game was played, he was rated around 2300 only, 2334, and I was 2298. We played at the Kolkata Open in 2009. And I knew Vaibhav is very talented, but I thought, a young boy, I think he was at that point only something like 12 years old or something, 12 or 13. And so I said, let me go for the most aggressive system with white. And so I played e3. I could also begin with a3, but it's the same. A3, and we reach our position. Yeah, Kimaya, you are right. Last game, the queen was like a pawn on the side of the board. Knight c6, bishop d3, castles, knight e2, b6, and I played here e4. Well, thank you so much, Arush, for contributing 100 rupees. And Arush writes over here, Guru Dakshina, thank you for your hard work and doing this. Thank you so much, Arush, who's contributed through Google Pay. Very kind of you. So e4, and now once again, let's just try to remember it very clearly. Black to move, what do you do here? I know I've asked this several times, but I don't want you to remember. If someone wakes you up at the middle of the night and tells you what should black do in this position, you're like, Capablanca, Joner versus Capablanca, 1929. I must play like that. Also like Reshevsky, Botvinnik Reshevsky, 1948. Also, Bronstein versus Najdorf. I must not play like that because it allowed f4, f5. I must play like Karpov, who beat Yusupov in 89 and 93. So that's how we do it. Scat1, he says, hi again from Germany, sir. Scat, what's your name? You contributed so many times on our stream. I'm very thankful to you. What's your name? Yes, knight e8, everyone. Very good. Knight e8, castles, bishop a6, f4, and now black to move. What do you play here? What should black do? Yeah, I'm so happy with all the right answers here, and everyone is awake. No one is sleeping. Everyone is like, okay, we understand everything. It's great to know. Yes, f5, this is absolutely right. Blocking the pawn on f4 and putting the pawn on f5. And Vipo, who's black, knew all of this. Even though he was very young, he played it perfectly. And here, this was my opening idea. Until now, we have been looking at moves like knight g3, g6, bishop e3. This was the game Karpov, Yusupov, and now we know that their take and d5 equalizes. But I had prepared this move d5, and I was hoping that I could catch Vaibhav unprepared here. So, but Vaibhav was smart, he played knight to a5. He said to me, now I'm going to take your pawn. I said, okay, fine, be my guest. I pushed e5 here. So once again, you are in black shoes now. What would you do here in this position? Black to move. Ankit Rawat has contributed 200 rupees through Google Pay. He says 30% cut on YouTube, so contributing here as well. Love your analysis. Thank you so much, Ankit. You already have contributed on Super Chat, so very kind of you to do it here as well. Thank you. When actually I played this move e5, my preparation was, I prepared a lot before this game. And I was like, I know Vaibhav is a very talented youngster, but I will trick him here. And I hope that he doesn't come well prepared, because he had no way of knowing that I'm going to play a3. But that's the thing with good players, they are always well prepared. And so he played exceedingly well here. Uh, Ajit Gole, g6, I don't like so much. We can discuss this. Why? Maher guess bishop into c4 is Maher. That's what I had prepared in this position. But the right move has been mentioned by Baku Choku, Raj Agarwal, Vikas Nishad, Mohil Kapuria, Chess Express Tamil, Pankaj Chaudhary, Anish Adiga, very good guys. Siddharth Shri Kumar, uh, many of you have got the right move here, and that is to play d6. And when he played this move, I was so upset. I was like, no, come on, you shouldn't know these things. You should have taken this pawn. I'm giving you this pawn. Why don't you take it? My plan was that if he takes, I was going to play d6, which is a very nice move. And then this knight becomes just so passive. He has to play g6 and kind of activate it. But like there is this game which is Polgar's game. I think white was, if I'm not mistaken, white player. Let me see. Was a strong GM. Yeah, Milov versus Polgar, and here went queen d3, b5, sorry, d6. I think maybe g6, queen d3, b5, a4, and somehow it was such that you are playing with this piece which is out of the game, and white has great compensation. I was really hoping for him to play, but good players are always well prepared. d6 is such a brilliant move, because now just imagine, For example, if you take on DE, I can just play queen e7 and I can pick up this pawn. If you take here, I will take back. And when I win this pawn, your pawn on c4 is just so weak, so very weak. So actually speaking, this turned out to be a quite a horrible experience for me because I can't take here. If I take on d6, his knight jumps and starts attacking here. It is all going wrong for me, and I was very nervous at this point. I didn't know what to do, and I started to lash out in the position. I went g4, but Vaibhav was very very solid. He played the move g6. Very nice chess. He said, do what you want. Sooner or later, I will be the one who's better because this tension in the center favors me. I can never resolve it while black can take it at the right moment. So that's what it's all about. Gf, Gf, knight g3, knight g7. Once again, defending all the squares. Rook a2, queen d7, rook goes to g2, king goes to h8, queen e2, and rook comes in. And this is just precise. This is a perfect example of space advantage gone wrong. White has beautiful space in the position, but after a point, black is just completely going to take over. Now suddenly ED followed by bishop d3, e5 pawn hanging. There are so many threats. So I lost my control here and I played DE, which is not a good move. Computer suggests to wait with rook f2. Somehow I was already feeling quite low. Queen e6, knight h5, knight takes, queen takes, and after bishop c4 I had lost a pawn, and now it's time to cash in. Black cashed in to the position completely, and then went on to win. In fact, I tried for some small tricks, but Vaibhav was too good. He gave a check, picked up my bishop also with check, and finally, when the queen came back, I called it off. It's all over. I am going to lose this. So that was my game, and I would ask you to remember that here if he goes d5 you jump to a5, and if he plays e5 you play d6, and keep this tension in the position, which is greatly in black's favor, like g6, knight g7, queen e7 or queen d7, rook e8. All of this works perfectly. Okay, I think there's one last thing which I need to show you. This was I playing this with the black pieces now. This was at the London Chess Classic in 2015, so the most recent one. And I was playing against a Finnish player, Erik Ronka, who is I think, one of the best youngsters in the country of Finland. C5, E3, knight C6. You already know everything about this line now. I think you are big experts. E4, knight E8, castles, bishop A6, F4, F5. And now we have already discussed the move knight G3, G6, bishop E3, CD, D5, and we have also looked at D5 in my game against Vaibhav. So the last thing is to take on F5, EF, EF. Black must take DC. White must take DC, BC. And now this is one of the most important positions in the opening, which I personally think black is doing really well. If you look at it closely, this pawn is a weakness here. Yes, the position is quite open, so the bishops have more scope. But this pawn followed by g6 is limiting the bishop on d3 over here, and this pawn with d6 c5 is limiting the bishop here. So both these bishops are not very active, and after rook b1, queen e7, bishop f2, g6, I think black is doing very well here in this. So I would definitely urge you to go over a few games in this line. I will also give them to you in the homework. So that I'll put a link in the description where I'll put some games in which you can analyze on your own and do it for homework. But here, the general plan could be to go knight g7 or knight f6. Try to get your knight here. Maybe get your rook on e8 or b8, and then just try to get this c4 pawn. It's pretty weak. Just to show you a few moves, what happened in the game. I managed to first of all defend everything nicely and then slowly took over the initiative. I was, I think, better at some point, but in the end, the game was drawn. Okay, so that's all about the A3 line. I hope that you all learned something from this. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. And I think this will be useful. I know that we're going a bit slow in these sessions. We are looking at each line in great depth. Maybe we can look at a few things a little less detail. Please let me know if you feel so in the comments. But my idea is to cover whatever we cover it so well that when you get to play in a tournament, you can even face a GM. It should not be a problem. Okay, so very important. I think we should write down what have we learned today. Um, Dikant Patil says, why don't you have to part with the bishop pair in the opening while still played? Well, bishop pair, yes, but in return you get something or the other. Like in this case, weak pawns. So yes, you give up something, you gain something in return. That's true for life as well as for chess, and that's how it happens. The thumbnail story. That's a good point that everyone mentioned. So every time I put a thumbnail, I have a story. And today's story is the following. I was playing in the tournament in Charleroi. This was in 2016 and or 2017. Yeah, 2017, I think. And I finished fourth there, yeah, in the tournament. But even before the tournament ended, I had decided that I will be actually trying to play well and finish in top. And if I did so, and if I earned some money, I would spend it on getting a DVD. As you can see there, there's a DVD in my hand, a yellow color one. It's Magnus's movie. I hope everyone has seen it. If you haven't seen it, please search for it or buy it online. It's Magnus's movie on his life, on him becoming the world champion. By the way, Scat1 says, thanks so much for asking, sir. I'm Suhas. Didn't want to disturb. I want to reach 1500 this year. Do you think it's possible in older age 40s? Yes, Suhas, it's definitely possible. In fact, I wrote a newsletter recently on this subject where I said age has something to do with chess improvement, of course, but more than that, with age comes responsibility, with age comes a lot of distractions, and this is what actually stops people from improving. Not that uh, because they are old they can't improve. It's like you are trying to practice and suddenly your kids call you, or suddenly someone else calls you, or there are so many distractions that are there, and then you are not able to improve. So if you can overcome those distractions, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't improve at chess. But thanks a lot for your contributions. You've been very kind to this. Gokul Ramanathan also has been a very, very regular contributor, and he's contributed $5. Thank you so much, Gokul Ramanathan. Again, very kind of you. Mandar Bakshi, thank you for contributing 40. Can we have a video on Geico piano or Italian? Yes, Mandar, we'll be working on that. Stay on. Don't we will be covering it as we go by. Rohit Bale says, I want you to make videos on Sicilian Dragon. Yes, we are going to work on Accelerated Dragon, as I mentioned in the intro, and that should come a few days later. Okay, so just to finish the thumbnail story, I actually bought that DVD after finishing fourth. I think I earned something like 150 euros or something like that, 200 euros. And then I spent 30 euros on buying it. I watched it. I was very inspired. And then just a month later, while I was still in the trip, I went to the World Cup. This was in Tbilisi, where I went for coverage as a journalist, and Magnus Carlsen was the top seed. And on one of the days when he was there for dinner and we were staying in the same hotel, all the players with the journalist, I went up to him and gave him this DVD saying that, can you please sign it for me? I think I still have it here. And he signed it. It was a very nice thing that, first of all, I won a prize, then I spent it on something to help myself improve, to help myself upgrade. And lastly, Magnus's signature actually made it like like a priceless gift. It became such an important thing. So my uh, recommendation to all of you here, like always, is invest in yourself. Always, this is very important. If you are planning to get something, buy something for yourself, then always look at investing in yourself, be it with good softwares, good books, good trainers. If you want to improve at chess, please do that. Always. And in the description link, I have put a link for you to buy chessbase 15 in case if you are interested, and you can do so. Okay, tomorrow the class will be at 11 as well, and we will be going on to more lines. This is not just a question of opening line, one line, but how to prepare openings. That is also what I want to teach you through this, and you will see how we are going through historical means and trying to arrive at theory of an opening. So let's just write down, very important. I always remember that if we do not write the what we have learned today, then we are going to forget it. So I don't want you to forget this thing. So let's just note it down in case if anyone would like to contribute here. What did we learn today? A3 system in the Nimzo. Let me just put it properly here. Yeah, we learned the A3 system in the Nimzo. One of the key ideas is I don't remember what the name of this system is. Maybe it's also called the Zamish system along with F3, but I like to call it the A3 system. And the second thing is, yes, F4, F5 idea, but first knight E8 idea to stop bishop G5 and also to meet F4 with F5. That is important. The third point which you learned is white gets space and initiative, but black has better structure and must aim to stabilize the position before doing something drastic. Okay, and the games that we learned today were Joner versus Capablanca 1929. Then we learned Botvinnik versus Reshevsky 1948. all those who think why should we remember names, then please look at Carlson's video where I interview him for all the games, and he knows everything year and all of that. He's an amazing guy, and I think it's possible if you try to recollect something, if you try to uh, have stories in your mind. Like for me, it's like 98 genre Capablanca, and then Botvinnik didn't know about this, he played it. Reshevsky knew about it, and then came Bronstein, who played it again in 1950 against Najdorf, and very surprisingly Najdorf played poorly and actually lost the game. And then lastly, we looked at team Yusupov versus Karpov games of 89 and 93. And lastly, I think the words are coming on my face. I think Sagar Shah, Sagar versus Milland was one game. Sagar versus Vaibhav Suri. I think this was a critical game. And lastly, Ronka versus Sagar. So we looked at many games here. Let me make this smaller so you can see it. And this is how what we learned today. So I hope that all of you learned a lot. This would be the end of today's session. And please make sure that you play in this Chess 960 event, because 50% of this entry fee will go to donation to Chief Minister's Fund, and of course Prakash Kunte and Buddhibal Krida Trust have been doing great work for Maharashtra chess and Indian chess. And I think it would be nice if you can participate here. All the details are on this page. If you just go to chessbase.in, which is the Chessbase India's website, you will get all the information about the event. So don't miss it. You will get to play against many different players in a new format. So that's all from me today. And yes, you can subscribe to the newsletter. There's a link in the description, and also subscribe to Chessbase India. Let me see if there are any questions there. Thank you, Jan Murdoch. Yes, please go to bed. It's very late already. Anushka Bhatt, thank you so much. I'll put the homework link, by the way, so please have a look at it later and try to do it. Look over the games, analyze them. That's the main homework. Try to look at them slowly on a chessboard. It will be very useful. Okay, so see you and take care. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.